Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 31. Screen. Okay. Taijasanindriyani eva kriya jnana vibhagashaha pranasya hi kriya shaktir buddhir vijnana shaktita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Egoism in the mode of passion produces two kinds of senses: the senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses of action. The senses of action depend on the vital energy, and the senses for acquiring knowledge depend on intelligence. Egoism in the mode of passion produces two kinds of senses: the senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses of action. The senses of action depend on the vital energy, and the senses for acquiring knowledge depend on intelligence. So yesterday we heard that how false ego in the mode of passion creates the intelligence. And now we are also hearing that it creates the senses to acquire knowledge and senses for action. So the knowledge acquiring senses, does anyone remember?
We can acquire knowledge. Yeah, we can acquire knowledge by our tongue, then by our hands. No, the hands are the karma indriya. Knowledge acquiring is eyes,
yes,
ears,
yes,
nose, tongue,
yes.
and then is it the fifth one is the skin?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yes. And the senses of action
are the legs, hands. Is it the karma is the tongue, the genitals, and the excretion part, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right.
That's right. Okay. So then the senses of action depend on vital energy, and senses for acquiring knowledge depend on intelligence. So the action senses, the hands, legs, they are depending on the vital energy, the life force. And the senses for acquiring knowledge, they are depending on the intelligence. So we'll read the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It has been explained in the previous verses that mind is the product of ego in goodness, and that the function of the mind is acceptance and rejection according to desire. But here intelligence is said to be the product of ego in passion. That is the distinction between mind and intelligence. Mind is a product of ego in goodness, and intelligence is the product of egoism and passion. The desire to accept something and reject something is a very important factor of the mind. Since mind is a product of the mode of goodness, if it is fixed upon the Lord of the mind, Anirudh, then the mind can be changed to Krishna consciousness. So here Prabhupada is again repeating it, that yes, the mind is a product of false ego in goodness, and intelligence is a product of false ego in passion. And this same mind, if we fix our mind on the Lord, then it can be changed to Krishna consciousness. The Lord of the mind is Anirudh. It is stated by Narottam Das Thakur that we always have desires. Desire cannot be stopped. But if we transfer our desires to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the perfection of life. As soon as the desire is transferred to lording it over material nature, it becomes contaminated by matter. Desire has to be purified. So the mind accepts and rejects, accepts and rejects. That's what's the function of the mind. Now, And that's how the mind keeps us going crazy, accepting, rejecting the situation. Does not give us time to fix the mind on the Lord. But if we fix the mind on the Lord, then automatically, gradually, we will develop or revive our Krishna consciousness. Now, why it's all this happening is because of desires. Why the mind is accepting and rejecting? Because of the desire. Something we desire and that's not happening, so we reject the situation. Something we desire and that's happening, we want to accept it. So our desire. Now this desire, when we desire to imitate God, we desire to enjoy the material energy that brings us here in the material world. The same desire, if we understand the greatness of God and we understand, oh, my true position is in the pleasure of God, then that gives us a liberation of life, a perfection of life. That's a liberated position. So that means desire. Now, desire has to be purified. So how to purify the desire? In the beginning, this purification process has to be carried out by the order of the spiritual master. Since the spiritual master knows how the disciples' desires can be transformed into Krishna consciousness. So it's this desire, you know. And so then we may say, and so here the importance of the spiritual master is again pointed out, because he will know how to guide the disciple to change his desires from envy of God to love of God. As far as intelligence is concerned, it is clearly stated here that it is a product of egoism and passion. By practice, one comes to the point of the mode of goodness, and by surrendering or fixing the mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes a very great personality or Mahatma. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. Such a great soul is very rare. So fixing the mind on Krishna, if someone has fixed their mind on Krishna, then they are called Mahatma, a great personality, great personality. And such great personalities are very, very rare, very rare. In this verse, it is clear that both kinds of senses, the senses for acquiring knowledge and the senses for action, are products of egoism in the mode of passion. And because the sense organs for activity and for acquiring knowledge require energy, the vital energy or life energy is also produced by egoism in the mode of passion. We can therefore actually see that those who are very passionate can improve in material acquisition very quickly. So because passion means you have a lot of energy, right? Passion is full of desires, full of activity, means the life force is, very, 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 what do you say, energetic. The life force is, raring to go. And so then when someone is in the mode of passion, then he can improve or can rise in the material world to high degrees or very quickly. It is recommended in the Vedic scriptures that if one wants to encourage a person in acquiring material possessions, one should also encourage him in sex life. We naturally find that those who are addicted to sex life are also materially advanced, because sex life or passionate life is the impetus for the material advancement of civilization. For those who want to make spiritual advancement, there is almost no existence of the mode of passion. Only the mode of goodness is prominent. So this whole material civilization is based on sex life. The more we advance is because of the sex desire. So that sex desire can be subtle or it can be gross. Subtle also is there, our lust to acquire a lot of things. That is also subtle sex life. It's the subtle, because it is lust. It is lust. Then desire for mating, attachments, all that is subtle, So then, and goodness, what happens is goodness is conducive to cultivate Krishna consciousness. To cultivate Krishna consciousness, we find that those who engage in Krishna consciousness are materially poor, but one who has eyes can see who is the greater. Although he appears to be materially poor, a person in Krishna consciousness is not actually a poor man, but the person who has no taste for Krishna consciousness and appears to be very happy with material possessions is actually poor. So a person in the mode of goodness, he may not be very inclined to acquire a lot of material possessions. His inclination is more towards reading the scriptures, teaching the scriptures. You know, his mode, because he's in the mode of goodness, he's trying to understand, he's trying to revive his Krishna consciousness. And so he materially may not be very rich, but he, although materially he has no possessions, a person who is in knowledge can understand him. He's actually very rich. He's not poor at all. Why? Because he has knowledge of Krishna. Knowledge of Krishna. That is what is important. Devotion for Krishna is even more important. Love for Krishna, that's the most important. So how can we, because love for God is there in everyone's heart. Love for God is there in everyone's heart. Now that same love has been transferred into lust, and our lust for these material possessions. How do we go from the place of lust back to love? How can we revive our love for God? How? Anyone?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes. Now I can hear you.
Okay. By hearing and chanting and...
Yes. So what happens when we are hearing about God? What happens?
Our dirt get purified. The
Yes.
things that are accumulated, all the desires, the anarthas get purified, and we can
the love develops.
The love develops, yeah. And
Yes,
the anarthas
that's right.
get destroyed and purified. Chetu
That's
darpan
right.
marjanam. Isn't that what
Marjanam,
happens?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, yes. And when we hear about God, when we hear how great is God, you see, we always say God is great. But because we don't know how great God is, we don't want to surrender to him. But then the more we hear how great God is, automatically we will surrender. We just have to continuously hear with faith, hear without doubt. When we are hearing from the revealed scriptures, we need to have faith in the word of God. Because if we don't have faith in the word of God, then it becomes difficult. Then Krishna says, then there is no happiness for you in this life, neither in the next. So we should have faith in the word of God. And the more we hear about God, what's going to happen is we will understand, oh, wow, God is so great. He is so great. And we will understand our position as minute. Then automatically we will want to surrender to God. Once we begin this surrender, this service in surrender, then we continue with that, and the love which is there, it will revive back. It will revive back. So it is all natural. It's nothing artificial. You know, we don't have to restrain ourselves from artificially giving up anything. Only thing we have to do is develop this attachment, this devotion to Krishna, which can happen about the more we hear about how great God is, how great his position is. The more we understand, automatically we will come to this point. Our desires will change.
And the longing will increase. Right?
I'm sorry?
The longing will increase. Longing for
Yes.
Krishna.
Yes, that's right. Yes, longing for Krishna will increase. Yes. So we should, the determination or the hard work should be, I need to hear more about God. I need to hear more about Krishna. That's what we should try to focus on, hearing and chanting. So then persons infatuated by material consciousness are very intelligent in discovering things for material comforts, but they have no access to understanding the spirit soul and spiritual life. Therefore, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he has to come back to the platform of purified desire, the purified desire for devotional service. As stated in the Narada Pancharatra, engagement in the service of the Lord when the senses are purified in Krishna consciousness is called pure devotion. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. Because God is the master of senses. Krishna, he is the master of our senses. That's why he's called Rishikesh. So when we engage the senses in the service of the master of senses, then the senses are purified, and we come to the point of pure devotion, pure devotional service, where the desires then are purified. The desire is only then to please Krishna. So we can see the more we hear and chant, we can, so that's why Prabhupada would say, in chanting, dancing, and eating our way back home, back to Godhead. That's what's the process that Lord Caitanya has given us. And I was just reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 40, where Krishna says, for the doubting soul, there is no happiness neither in this world nor next. For persons who doubt the faith of God, the word of God, for persons who don't have faith in the word of God, then they cannot revive their God consciousness. So then Prabhupada says in the purport that one should therefore follow the principles of the revealed scriptures with faith. And then what happens? Then we will be raised to the platform of knowledge. When we hear the word of God with faith from the revealed scriptures, from the bona fide authorities, then with this faith, when we are hearing, it will give us knowledge. And with this knowledge, only this knowledge can help one to be promoted to the transcendental platform of spiritual understanding. Transcendental platform of spiritual understanding. So in this regard, Prabhupada would give he would speak of a story that in the court of Akbar, Akbar used to like to challenge his ministers sometimes. So he put a stick there and he told all the men, he put a challenge there, now you make the stick small without touching it. So everyone was scratching their heads that you have to make shorter, make this small, make this stick small. This stick is whatever, it's a big stick, but now you make it small without touching it. Everyone was scratching their heads what to do. So then finally Birbal came and he put a bigger stick in front of that stick. So automatically this stick became small because there was a bigger stick. So then Prabhupada would say, the more we understand God, his position, automatically we will understand how small our position is. Automatically we will become humble.
Wow, beautiful.
So that's the point. Yeah, beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Yes, I found that too. So the focus, the stress should be, let me try to understand more and more about Krishna. Let me develop this devotion for Krishna. Automatically, we will be situated in our original position. Automatically, we'll get humble. As Prabhupada would also say that once, when we are in the dark, we are trying to understand anything we try to understand in the dark, our knowledge is going to be not perfect. We can't even see our body, so how will we see anything around us? Don't know what's happening. But as soon as we go near the light, everything becomes clear. Everything becomes clear. So try to hear more about Krishna. The more we hear about Krishna, chant his names. Krishna is like the sun. It takes away the darkness of our ignorance. So the more we understand Krishna, how great he is, Krishna's position, how great God is, automatically we will be able to understand our position. So, I felt this is like, and as Rupa Goswami says, that the path of devotional service, we should perform it with enthusiasm. Yes, patience, of course, because we've been in the material world a long time, but with enthusiasm. So it's happy when we try to understand, oh yes, I'm going to try to know Krishna more and more. I'm going to try to understand God more and more. So it brings more of a positive feeling, rather if we keep saying, oh no, I don't want to do this, I can't do this and I can't do that, then that becomes negative. But the more we develop our devotion for Krishna, automatically our desires will change. So that's like a more positive way of going about it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Because somehow yesterday, all what I was hearing was about this, and I really feel that, yes, that is what's important. The devotion, the energy should be, let me try to understand God, how great he is. Automatically, the surrender will be there. Automatically, the devotion will be revived again.
And I think also Krishna's grace also will be there. The more when you, have the devotion.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yes, we can attract Krishna's grace by this. Yeah. We'll be able to attract Krishna's grace by doing this. And also, and because love for Krishna, he keeps it, he is difficult to give it back to us now. Although we have it, and now because we have forgotten it. So now only by his grace can we get it back. And the grace of his pure devotees. So yes, that's how we can invite, we can attract their mercy, their grace. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Did anyone else want to share anything or comment? Anything? No. So we'll stop here for today.
So till what time should we fast today?
Today, dusk. Usually it's like, dusk is, let me check the exact timing. I have not seen as yet. I'll check the exact timing and I can send it to you. I can post it on the chat.
Okay.
Will you be available to read together in the afternoon?
3 o'clock, no? 3, right? 3. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking, fine. Is 3 a convenient time? Because I thought, in case.
Yeah, it's convenient.
Yeah, I can also
right?
try, and I can try.
Yeah, 3, I thought like, in case we need to give whatever, like family duties, everything, by then lunch duties should be finished, and then by 3 should be a good time.
So it will be like an hour? Oh,
yeah,
no.
Read for an hour or so.
For an hour, no?
And we could all take turns to read from the Bhagavatam.
You'll share, right? The screen.
Yeah, I'll share the screen. I'll share the screen, and then we can read from the pastime of appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev.
Okay.
Yeah, so then all of us can be like involved in it, kind of. Okay, thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Nishingadev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in.